crying begins so quietly that most drivers think it is nothing. At first, it sounds like the wind moving through the trees or air slipping past an open window. But then the sound changes. It becomes clearer, sharper, turns into the sound of a child crying in fear. On Route 218 in Texas, this has happened to many drivers. Late at night, when the road is empty and the headlights are the only light, people hear it coming from the side of the highway. A small voice, broken, desperate, crying like someone is lost and alone in the dark. Drivers say the sound feels close, too close to ignore. Some slow down without meaning to. Others turn off their radios to listen. The crying grows louder, as if it knows it has been heard. It does not echo. It does not fade. It stays right beside the road. What makes this worse is the silence around it. No footsteps, no movement, just the cry of a child where no child should be. And in that moment, every driver feels the same question rise in their mind. Do they stop? Or do they keep driving? Route 218 is not a road people talk about during the day. In sunlight, it looks harmless. Flat land, long fields, trees standing far apart. But at night, the road feels different. The darkness there is heavy, as if it presses down on the headlights. There are long stretches with no houses, no streetlights, no signs of life. Drivers say once you enter this part of the road, your phone signal weakens and the air feels colder. Even locals avoid driving there after midnight unless they have no choice. For decades, people living nearby have shared the same warning. Do not stop on Route 218 at night, especially if you hear a child crying. Truck drivers, farmers, and late-night workers all repeat the same story, even though many of them have never met each other. Some say the road has always been dangerous. Old accidents, unmarked graves, stories passed down quietly through families. The kind of stories parents tell their children only once, just enough to make them remember. What makes Route 218 terrifying is not what you see. It is what you hear, because the road stays empty. No children live nearby. No homes sit close enough for a child's voice to reach the highway. And yet, the crying continues to be heard, year after year, in the same lonely stretch of road. People who know the road say this is where the sound always begins. And once it begins, it does not follow the rules of distance or reason. It feels like the road itself is listening. The earliest reports did not come from police files. They came from stories, collected quietly by folklorists and historians who listened to drivers describe the same experience again and again. Different years, different people, the same road, the same sound. Drivers said they first noticed the crying just after midnight. It always began suddenly. One moment the road was silent. The next, a child was crying somewhere near the shoulder. When headlights swept the area, nothing appeared. No body, no movement, only empty grass and darkness. Some drivers thought they saw something small at the edge of the light, a shape low to the ground, but when they focused, it vanished. The crying would stop the moment the car slowed too much, then begin again once the driver tried to leave. What troubled investigators was this detail. No missing child reports ever matched the sightings. No calls, no searches, no accidents recorded nearby during those nights. The sound existed without a source, a voice without a body. Several witnesses said the crying did not behave like a normal sound. It did not grow quieter with distance. It stayed close as if it followed the car, as if it wanted the driver to turn back. These early encounters ended the same way. Confusion, fear, and the feeling that something unseen had been standing just outside the reach of the headlights. Watching, waiting, listening. Some drivers could not resist stopping. The crying was too human, too desperate, too heartbreaking to ignore. They pulled their cars to the side of Route 218 and stepped out, hoping to find a child in need. But nothing was there. Not a single child. Only the empty road, wet grass, and the shadow of trees swaying in the wind. At first, relief mixed with confusion. Then fear set in. When they returned to their cars, they noticed strange marks. Scratches ran along doors and hoods, deep, jagged, and fresh. Muddy handprints appeared on windows and trunks, small enough to belong to a child, yet smeared as if by something strong and urgent. No footprints led away. No evidence of anyone having been there. The most disturbing part, witnesses said, was the timing. The marks were not there when they parked. They only appeared after leaving. Some drivers swore the handprints seemed to move closer to the driver's side, as if reaching for them. Every driver described the same feeling, a sudden chill, a presence hovering just beyond vision. The crying itself seemed to intensify, echoing in their minds even after they sped away. Some would not return to Route 218 for years, if ever. The road became more than just a stretch of highway. It became a trap for curiosity, a test of courage. One wrong move, one stop, and the unseen presence made itself known, leaving its mark both on the car and in the driver's memory. Drivers who stopped described a fear that went beyond scratches and handprints. It was the feeling of being watched, of something breathing just beyond the reach of the headlights. Some said the crying seemed to circle the car, coming from the front, then the back, then the side, always just out of sight. They spoke of a dread that made their hands shake and hearts pound. The voice was so real, so human, that it left them wondering if they had missed a child in need, or if something far darker was playing with them. Even when they tried to focus on the road ahead, the sound seemed to linger, following them down the highway. No one ever saw the boy, not once. Only the crying, only the sense of a small, unseen presence standing near the car. Some described hearing whispers that felt almost like words, soft and broken, like a plea or a warning. Every eyewitness agreed on one thing. The fear was immediate, physical, and impossible to ignore. The crying was not just heard. It was felt, a pressure in the chest, a cold creeping along the spine. Drivers left the road shaken, unable to explain what they had experienced. This is the part that makes Route 218 terrifying. Not the scratches, not the handprints, but the sound that cannot be traced, the unseen presence that cannot be faced, and the knowledge that something is still out there, waiting for the next car to slow down. No one can say for sure what the crying boy is. Over the years, locals and folklorists have offered many explanations, but none can fully account for what happens on Route 218. Some believe it is the spirit of a child who died in an accident along the road long ago. Perhaps the boy is lost, confused, or trying to find help, repeating the same cries night after night. Others think it is a warning, a presence meant to scare drivers away or to punish those who stop. There are also theories of a residual haunting. Some say traumatic events leave energy behind, looping endlessly until acknowledged. In this case, the crying could be an echo of past tragedy, replaying on the dark highway, unseen but terrifyingly real. What makes these explanations chilling is that none account for the physical marks. The scratches, the muddy handprints, the feeling of a presence that moves with the car. It is as if the boy, or whatever it is, exists in two worlds at once. One that can be felt and one that cannot be seen. Folklore and eyewitness accounts agree on one thing. The crying boy is real to those who hear him. And until the cause is understood, the fear remains, ready to reach anyone who drives down Route 218 late at night. Even today, Route 218 keeps its dark reputation. Locals still warn drivers. If you hear a child crying at night, do not stop. Turn your car around. Keep moving. The stories have persisted for decades, and the encounters continue to be reported. The road feels different after dark. The empty fields, the trees, the faint hum of distant insects. All of it fades under the weight of the crying. Drivers say the sound can follow them for miles, though no child is ever seen. And if they stop, the scratches and handprints appear, a reminder that something unseen has been there. Some say the boy is waiting for someone to help him, while others believe he punishes those who try. But everyone agrees on one thing: the road is not safe. The crying is real, and the presence behind it is relentless. Route 218 leaves a memory that does not fade. Even years later, people recall the fear in their chest, the chill in the air, and the sound of a child crying somewhere just beyond their headlights. No one knows who or what the boy is, but everyone knows the warning: never stop. The next time you drive alone on a dark Texas highway and hear a child crying beside the road, remember Route 218. Some cries are not meant to be answered. The night was quiet, too quiet. The headlights of a lone car cut through the darkness of Slaughterhouse Canyon Road, reflecting off the twisted trees and jagged rocks. The wind whispered through the canyon, carrying with it a faint, almost human cry. At first, it seemed like the sound of a lost animal. But then the voice grew clearer, desperate, terrified, echoing against the cliffs. A woman's scream pierced the night. "My baby! Where's my baby?" it cried. Her figure appeared suddenly in the headlights, standing in the middle of the road. Pale, drenched in shadow, her arms reached out as if begging for help. Drivers slammed on brakes, hearts pounding, only to blink and see her vanish. No footprints, no child, nothing but the empty road stretching endlessly ahead. Some who passed this road later described the same feeling, a cold weight pressing on their chest, a whisper in their ear that made their blood run cold. Others swear the cries continue even after they leave the canyon. The woman seems to appear out of nowhere, her grief lingering in the air. What makes Slaughterhouse Canyon Road so terrifying is not just the sudden appearances, but the sorrow behind them. The stories tell of a mother who lost her child long ago. And even now, late at night, her pain echoes through the dark. Some say if you drive too slowly, too carefully, you might see her just once. And that is enough to haunt you forever. Long before cars raced down Slaughterhouse Canyon Road, this place was already haunted by sorrow. In the late 1800s, families lived in small, isolated homes near the canyon. Life was harsh. Disease and poverty were everywhere, and many mothers lost their babies shortly after birth. One tragic year, several infants died in a single family, leaving the mother devastated. The grief was unbearable. Locals say the mother wandered the canyon for days, calling out for her lost child. Some say she never returned home. Over time, her story became more than just a tale of grief. It became a warning. People whispered that her spirit lingered in the canyon, searching endlessly for the babies she lost. As years passed, accidents and strange deaths added to the fear. Drivers reported sudden chills, headlights flickering, and voices that seemed to come from nowhere. Historians note that the road cuts through rocky cliffs where echoes carry strangely, amplifying cries into something haunting, almost alive. The combination of real tragedy and the eerie landscape transformed Slaughterhouse Canyon Road into a place of legend. It's a place where history refuses to stay buried, where sorrow clings to the air like a heavy fog. And for those who drive there at night, it isn't just the dark that frightens them. It's the sense that the past is watching, waiting, calling out through the shadows. Over the years, many drivers have shared chilling encounters on Slaughterhouse Canyon Road. One man, driving home late after a long shift, remembered seeing a pale woman standing in the middle of the road. Her arms were stretched toward him, and she screamed for her baby. He slammed on the brakes, heart pounding, but when he looked again, she was gone. The only sound left was a faint echo of her cries, carried by the canyon wind. Another driver described headlights catching a small figure crawling along the side of the road. At first, he thought it was a lost child. Then he realized there was no child, just a shadow, shifting and vanishing whenever he tried to look directly. He felt a sudden cold rush through the car, like icy fingers brushing his neck, and his engine sputtered before roaring back to life. Some witnesses say the screams are not constant. They appear and vanish without warning. Others report hearing multiple voices, as if the canyon itself is alive with mothers calling for lost babies. One woman even claimed she saw a baby lying in the road. When she reached out to help, it disappeared, leaving nothing but the echo of crying in her ears. These stories are more than ghost tales. They are consistent, detailed, and terrifying. Each account shares a common thread, the feeling of grief and despair, as if the canyon itself mourns. And for those who have passed through at night, the terror is real, lingering long after they leave the road. The heart of the legend lies in the lost mother herself. She was a woman who suffered the worst grief imaginable, losing her child in a time when help was scarce, when illness and misfortune were ruthless. Locals say she wandered the canyon endlessly, calling out for her baby, refusing to rest even in death. Sightings describe her as pale and soaked, her face twisted in despair. She sometimes appears holding a small bundle, her child, but as drivers approach, the bundle vanishes into thin air. The sound of her crying is said to echo through the canyon, fading only when someone finally drives away. What makes her story so terrifying is not just her ghostly presence. It's the emotion behind it. Unlike other spirits that haunt for revenge or anger, she haunts from grief. Her sorrow is so powerful it can make the air feel heavy, cold, and oppressive. Some witnesses claim their hands tremble, their breath catches, and their car seems to slow down as if the canyon itself is holding them hostage. And sometimes, the cries of her baby transform. From soft whimpers, they grow into sharp, chilling screams, as if the canyon amplifies the pain of loss itself. Those who encounter her say it's impossible to forget. Even years later, the sound of a child crying on a quiet road can bring the memory back like it happened yesterday. Her story is more than a ghost tale. It's a reminder that some grief never dies. In Slaughterhouse Canyon, it lingers, waiting for anyone who dares to drive through the night. Drivers who have braved Slaughterhouse Canyon Road notice strange patterns. Most encounters happen between 2 and 4 a.m., when the canyon is at its darkest and the wind carries every sound. Many report a sudden drop in temperature, as if the night itself has turned cold and heavy. Inside the car, the heater or lights sometimes fail, leaving only the dim glow of the headlights to illuminate the empty road. Some say the fog rises suddenly, thick and unnatural, wrapping around their vehicles like a living thing. Shapes move within it, shadows that disappear when looked at directly. Headlights catch glimpses of the woman's pale face or a small hand reaching out. But when drivers slow down, there's nothing. The road stretches on empty, as if the apparition was never there. Echoes are another hallmark of the canyon. A cry that seems distant can suddenly feel close, as if it circles the car. Many describe hearing multiple voices, sometimes whispering, sometimes screaming, blending with the wind. One driver recounted that even after leaving the canyon, they could hear faint cries in their rearview mirror, growing softer with every mile. These strange occurrences suggest something more than simple superstition. The canyon itself seems to hold the memory of grief. Lights flicker, engines stall, and shadows shift, but all signs point to one presence: the lost mother, searching endlessly for her child. The more you drive, the stronger the feeling that she's near, that she is always watching. Some drivers say they've come dangerously close to encountering the lost mother, and barely survived the experience. One man told how he was rounding a sharp bend when headlights revealed her standing in the middle of the road. He swerved instinctively, tires skidding across loose gravel, and when he looked again, she was gone. But the sound of her baby's cries filled the car, echoing off the walls of the canyon, as if the sound itself had followed him. Another driver described the headlights catching her figure suddenly, just a few feet away. The air inside the car froze. The temperature dropped so fast he could see his breath. The woman's wails pierced his ears, pleading for her child. He pressed the accelerator to escape, but the engine sputtered and the lights flickered. When the car roared back to life, she had vanished. Yet the feeling of being watched lingered long after. Some claim she interacts with the living world in other ways. Doors that were locked suddenly open. Mirrors fog with tiny handprints that disappear in seconds. Even radios and phones pick up strange static, punctuated by faint, ghostly cries. Each incident leaves drivers shaken, often too scared to return to the canyon for years, if ever. It isn't just about seeing her. It's about feeling her grief. Witnesses say the sorrow is so powerful it presses down on their chest, makes their heart race, and fills them with a fear unlike any other. This is not a spirit that haunts for revenge. She haunts for loss, and it is a terror that lingers long after the night ends. Slaughterhouse Canyon Road remains one of Arizona's most chilling legends. Even today, drivers report seeing her pale figure, hearing cries for a baby that may never have existed, and feeling an unshakable sorrow in the air. The canyon holds the echoes of the past, a grief that refuses to rest. Some say the lost mother will appear only once to each driver, a fleeting glimpse that haunts them forever. Others have seen her multiple times, each encounter leaving a heavier sense of dread. Locals warn that the road is safest in daylight, but for thrill seekers or those curious about the supernatural, the night holds a terror unlike any other. The horror of Slaughterhouse Canyon is not in the shadows or the fog, but in the story behind it. The endless searching of a mother who never gave up hope. Her cries are a reminder that some tragedies never leave this world. They linger in the places where they happened, carried by the wind, whispered through the rocks, and seen in the headlights of those brave enough to drive the canyon at night. Next time you pass through Slaughterhouse Canyon Road, listen closely. You might hear her cries, you might see her, and you might realize that some legends are more than just stories. They are warnings.